So first, I'm a Sabra. I was born in Israel. My parents were born in Europe. They came from New York. And there isn't a day that goes by in my life, ever, that I'm not grateful and thankful for my parents that they did this for me. And I don't know if I would have the koach to pick myself up from a comfortable life in New York and come here, definitely not in the 50s. And it's such a tremendous privilege to grow up here, to raise my children here. I always thought so, after Naftali's story, I עוד יותר thought so. And whenever I meet people like you, first of all, I'm in awe. And mamash, truly, I think you're beyond words, amazing. But beyond that, I think you should know you're giving your children the best gift in the world. And I know it's not an easy gift, and it often has complications. And I know that when you send your son to war for the 5th time, I can't believe that. That's hard for an Israeli to hear, It doesn't, you become a little bit insecure about some of these decisions. But look, from the recipient side of this, it's the greatest gift ever. Nothing compares to it. Today somebody asked me, so what did I take from my parents, whatever, or receive from my parents? And my parents are amazing. I can speak for hours about my parents. But if I had to choose one thing, it's growing up and raising my children in Eretz Yisrael. So, that's just to start out. Now, I feel like I want to give context to this specific struggle. So we had the personal advice, and we're going to have the psychological and mindfulness part of it right after. And I want to just give it context. I recently heard Rav Doron Peretz. You know Rav Doron? So his son Yonatan was very brave and saved so many people and got lightly wounded and actually got married 2 weeks later, and on that Shabbat, and his son Daniel is kidnapped, and he also saved tons of people. And Rav Doron was saying that he had just heard something that amazed him in the sense that it gave context. It was a story about David Ben Gurion when they got the partition plan. And Ben Gurion felt that this is a decision of such immense historical proportions that he has to, ask people and take advice and, speak to all kinds of characters. And one of the people he asked was Yitzhak Tabenkin. And Yitzhak Tabenkin was the head of the secular kibbutz movement. He was actually, he bought a lot of lands all over Eretz Yisrael, and he presented him with the plan that he was offered, and he said, what do you think about it? Should I agree? And Yitzhak Tabenkin said, well, I'll have to take this under advice. I'll have to go take some advice, and I'll get back to you on this. And the next day, Tabenkin comes back to him. He thinks that he shouldn't accept the partition program. We actually accepted it. It was turned down. One of a million programs that were turned down. But Tabenkin said no. And Ben Gurion said, well, whose advice did you seek? And Tabenkin said, I seek the advice of my deceased grandparents and my unborn grandchildren. And this is to say that what we're going through now is of historical importance, and it's of historical effect going back generations and to our future generations. And what our children are part of is of course, it's a pinnacle moment, but it's a tremendous process in Am Yisrael. And it's not like if you start speaking about history and ideology, it makes things easier. No, it doesn't make things easier, and our personal experience are, not simple. But the context is what gives it meaning. The context is the reason. The context is whatever the French say, the reason to be for this experience, and we can't lose sight of that. Okay, when Stefka Ish Tzibur that I heard today was saying, he does a lot of stuff, but he was saying, and then for at least a few minutes every day, I go over pictures, and this is not advice from others. I'm just saying for him, where he is. I go over the pictures of the kidnapped, and the pictures of the fallen, and the pictures of the Yishuvim, just to remind myself to be focused on why we're doing what we are doing. Okay, so the context is crucial in it all being worth it. Okay. One of the types of heartbreak that we had around this whole ordeal is this, beyond a lot of personal stuff, is realizing that human beings could go so low. That some of this, it sounds like medieval history books, something that's way beyond, we've left behind a long time ago. And no, it's some of our neighbors. And that human beings could betray their Tzelem Elokim, their image of God and their humanity. And that for itself is a heartbreak, to realize that such things happened. And then thinking of that, I remembered that I met Rav Adin Steinsaltz 9 years ago. And he told me, what we say when we daven, Oseh Shalom Uvoreh et Hakol, that's just politically correct. The original verse in Yeshayahu says, Oseh Shalom Uvoreh Ra. Okay? It's a pasuk that says, I create peace, I create evil, I did all of this. And I remember already then, it had like an effect on me. But then I learned that at the time he gave a longer shiur to his students based on the pasuk, Ohavei Hashem sin'ura. Lovers of Hashem hate evil. And he said, if you're a true lover of Hashem, you have to view the whole picture as it is. You have to view the peace, you have to view the evil, you have to realize this is all part of this world. We try to protect our young children from the evil parts, but you can't stay a child forever. Definitely not in this country. And you grow up, you understand. But Ohavei Hashem, their role is lisnora. Okay? You understand the picture, you realize it's reality, and then you have a job to hate evil. To differentiate yourself from evil. In the beginning of, in the Talmud, in Masachet Brachot, there is a story about Moshe Rabbeinu, and he asks 3 requests from Hashem, and the first 2 have to do with the special relationship between Hashem and Am Yisrael, and he gets that. And then the third one has to do with Moshe turning to Hashem and say, he says, explain to me, Horeni Drachecha, explain to me how this world works. How could such evil exist? Why do bad things happen to good people? And there's a machloket there. Rabbi Yochanan says he got it. In other words, it was just a gap in information. He was missing the bigger picture. Now that he has the bigger picture, now he understands and he gets it. And Rabbi Meir there says, no, it's your basar v'dam. It's out of your league. No. כי לא יראני האדם וחי. And recently, we saw again an interview that Rabbi Sachs gave, I think mamash in one of the last few months of his life. it always reminds me how much more we could have received from him. And during that interview, this lady speaks to him that you might have seen it. She describes how her mother always kind of stalked him to get an answer for this question of evil. Why do bad things happen? And he never gave an answer. I believe he thought it's beyond him that a person should be able to say, I don't know. I cannot understand this. And then he turns to her and he said, no, but I did discover something. I say, what? Did you discover the answer to why bad things happen? He says, no, I discovered why a Kadosh Baruch Hu prevents us from understanding this question of evil. Why our sight is blacked. Why can't we get it? He says, because if we would understand, we would somehow soften towards it. We would make room for it. We would somehow accept it, at least partially. And our role is to fight evil. So some of our understanding is blocked, so we can go ahead and fight it. Okay? Things are beyond us because our role, Ohvei Hashem Sin'ura. At this point, it's a time to hate evil. Now, in history, there are many nations that were very strong and quite wicked. There's some nations that, like we know very closely, that during long times of their history were very weak, but remained very righteous. And then the state of Israel is kind of an experiment, one of the experiments in human history of trying to be strong, powerful, and righteous. And during most of the years, it means let's have a society that's compassionate, and it has justice, and it has mercy, and it knows how to... But now, at this point of time, being strong and righteous means using our power to eradicate evil. Now, our nature as people that try to be righteous is to be soft and compassionate, and that comes much more natural to us. But sometimes this tenderness is the last refuge of the wicked. At this point in time, our role is to be strong against evil, to be powerful against the darkness. It's so difficult to imagine our sweet children being part of that. You know, they're so delicate, they're so this, they're so that, they're sensitive, they're sweet. But at this point in time, this is what righteous means. If you let evil go on without fighting it, it's going to take over the world. Think of what we thought of the nations that let wicked people before go without fighting back. So our sweet, delicate, sensitive kids are part of this historical mission. At this point in time, this is our role. Rav Kook has this collection of essays, it's called Orot HaMilchama. Actually, his son collected different parts where he related to war. And in one of them, he starts discussing Avraham Avinu and David HaMelech. And these characters are considered, very righteous characters, real tzaddikim, very spiritual. But when you look at their history, they're warriors. Okay? And their wars in their time, there were tens of thousands that were killed. Maybe because there weren't any wounded then, you couldn't survive. But he says, how does this work? These very, very spiritual people, and they're Anshe Milchama, they're warriors. How does this work? And he says, in their time, when they had to, they didn't choose war. When they had to go to war, David maybe sometimes chose. Their clarity regarding the values that are driving them and the reasons for their acts they're going through had a protective nature. In the sense that when they said the pasuk, Gam ki elech begeit tzal mavet lo ira ra, okay, they read into it the meaning that even when I go in the valley of horrors, I don't fear I don't fear that I would, when David and Avraham say, and people like it, when they say, Gam ki elech b'gei tel mavet lo ira ra, what it means to them is that they're so clear on their value system, on the reasons, on right, straight, honest priorities, that what they read into that pasuk is, when I go in this valley of horrors, I fear not becoming evil. Okay? גם כי אלך בגיא תל מוות, לא אירע שאני אהפוך לרע. Okay? And that is a major issue here. Because, again, our children are being exposed to horrors no human being should be exposed to. But when you say, when you know what your mission is, and you know what your values are, and you know why you're here, there's a protective power to it. That you go in the valley of horrors and you fear not becoming evil, not to be affected by this. My sister told me, she'll kill me for repeating it, but it was like a WhatsApp message, you know. She said, when I realized that Timchet Zecher Amalek, okay, the mitzvah to eradicate the evil of Amalek, is relevant to us here and now, it suddenly gave me context and it eased the fact that the WhatsApp said that my son isn't available since, quite a few days. Okay? And you look at that and you say, why? How does this work? No, that's exactly how it works. When you understand, there's a reason, and there's a context, and there's a role to be played. So you're wishing for all the good and all the protection, and you want to go around with this fairy dust and protect every hair on him. But it gives you the power to live through things. I was listening to you saying about to fall apart, not to fall apart. I remember times where my inner speech was, you can fall apart, great, it's okay, but just a few more minutes, just a little bit more. And then this guy from the negotiation team that was with us, he said, I approached him because I wanted preparations for something that was challenging me. I chose to listen to the phone call that our sons made, Gilad actually made. And I came over to him and I said, can you prepare me? Now, we didn't know what's going to be there, and it's like going to a professional and say, prepare me for what? Who knows? But I was very nervous because I didn't know what I'm going to hear and will I recognize, whatever. So he says, okay, Rachelle, what are you afraid of? And I said, I don't know. I know that up to now I was very focused, but this is going to come from a different direction. I might just fall apart. And he said, okay, so you'll fall apart. Then what? So I thought for a second. I said, well, I guess then I'll collect myself and get up. And he said, Nachon meod. And they were such simple words, but they reflected to me that, yeah, we can do this. We can definitely do it. What do I want to say? I just want to add, there are these soldiers from Ktinat Chayalot in Rabbanit Tzvait Rashit, whatever. So she's in charge of the women soldier, that the religious one mostly. And they were calling the whole world asking for these little videos, not of children from Gan, but Chizuk. Okay, so they were saying, oh, how about divrei chizuk? And I was thinking, what can sometimes you feel like, what do you mean divrei chizuk? What is that all about? And I ended up saying to the ktina there, you know what? Forget chizuk. I'll send you something, and you see if you have a specific population of soldiers that this might be good for. And it was like a couple of minutes about לטפל במטפלים, taking care of the caregivers. Okay? And I'll say a few things they said there, but then she came back and said, yes, okay, they're the ones that are working with these and these and these. I'll send them. For them, that would be very important. So Chizuk is a very general thing, and more than anything, I agree with this issue of go with what makes you strong. And for instance, if anything that I said works the other way, just erase it, throw it in the garbage. Choose what works for you. It's like the airplanes. Put the oxygen on before so you can help other people, and all of us, we have so many roles. Okay. We're the mother of the soldier, we're at work, and this and that, the wife. So many jobs to do. And it's not an easy time for ourselves. Taking care of ourselves is aleph bet, okay? It's like the professional definition of empathy, it's not walking there and say, oh, that's very difficult there in the hole in the ground, right? And walking away. No, it's not that. But it's also not being so, into it that you fall down and both of you are now in need of empathy. So a person that wants to be there for the whole world has to manage their own resources. If my world is the examples from Torah. So it's the guy that wants to give tzedakah, and they tell him not too much. You have to, if you're going to go ahead, spend all your money on tzedakah, you're going to be at tzedakah case too. It's Yitro that comes to Moshe and looks at what's going on, and he tells him, Navol tibol gam ata gam ha'am asher itcha. If you continue this way, it's not going. So it's about breathing, getting some physical practice, eating, sleeping. Yeah, there's such thing as proper sleep. And you didn't bring me here to hear that, but I'm trying to say it with the Torah chotemet. Okay, it's essential to take care of the caregivers. Otherwise, the whole system collapses. Okay? And one last thing. Each of us is not only a parent, we're also part of the greatest story here. And the greatest story here had tremendous heartbreak. And there's something about allowing ourselves in little, just a bit here and there, to feel that heartbreak that keeps us real. I'll say what I mean. Avivit, the mother of Amitai Tzvi Granot, she was killed a week into the war in the and she was eulogizing her son, and she was saying, look, we have tremendous pain, but don't be sad. Sadness is the root of despair, and en shum yeush ba'olam klal. And I was listening, and it sounded very impressive, but I said, this needs translation. What do you mean? You have so much pain, and yet don't be sad. How exactly does that work? How is it supposed to work? And the truth is, the vocabulary for this comes from Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. Rav Nachman says, Lev shavur ve'atzvut eno oto davar klal. Having a broken heart and atzvut, I'll translate atzvut. Atzvut is not sadness or melancholy by Rav Nachman. Atzvut is despair, depression, all the poisons of our life. Okay, the things that make us hate the days that go through. He says, Lev shavur, a broken heart, it's dear to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It comes from the heart. Right? But atzvut, as he says, this despair, it comes from the spleen. It's the poison. Hashem hates it. And what he's talking about actually is the difference between depression, despair, all that stuff, and the the ability to be vulnerable, to be a little bit exposed, a little bit, let down a bit of our protections. And again, if this doesn't work for you, shove it aside. But we're not only mothers of, okay? We're also part of this story, and this story is full of heartbreak. So Rav Nachman says, maybe we should be walking all day with a broken heart. It's like the expression to wear your heart on your sleeve or something like that. Totally vulnerable, totally fragile. But people like you, he said, like us, that could bring them to depression. That could bring them to despair. So he says, so allow for a time a day, an hour a day. Make some allowance to be broken. And the rest of the day, now this sounds almost like a profanity. He says, and the rest of the day you should be in simcha. You say, simcha? Are you kidding? What does simcha have to do with this? But simcha is the energies of life. Simcha is what makes us wake up in the morning, say modani, take care of ourselves, take care of our family, take care of our community. Having these small wins and the great wins. Sometimes it's just getting out of the bed, and then sometimes it's organizing the most tremendous thing for the whole community and the soldiers and whatever it is. In order to have these energies of life, that's called simcha. Okay? And this I know I said by Rav Zaks. Rabbi Zaks speaks of the difference between happiness, osher, and joy, simcha. He says in the Torah, happiness you can feel on your own, but joy, it's something you have with the ger, hayatom, almana, with samachti v'simachti, with other people. It's something you share. Happiness is something that is like the total calculation of your life if everything's perfect. And joy lives in the moment. And a person it's very difficult to feel happiness when you're under pressure, when it's a time of tension, when it's so much uncertainty. But you can still choose simcha. Okay? So somewhere in that balance, okay, of letting ourselves be of lev shavur a bit, not disconnecting. Okay? In the right amount that doesn't pull us down, but helps us, realize that we're not running away. We're experiencing what all of us are experiencing here. And on the other hand, the rest of the time, yes, the energies of joys are what makes us tick. Not every minute, not all the time, but it's a very, very powerful tool. I'll just read Rabbi Zaks' piece just to finish it off. He says, after this analysis of Osher and Simcha, he says, it's like HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us, I prepared all of this for you. This is our gift. Enjoy it and help other people enjoy it. Any place you can, heal some of the pain that people cause each other, or the 1,000, natural shocks that human beings are capable, fragile to. Because pain and sadness and fear and anger and jealousy and grievance, they're things that disturb your vision, and they separate you from other people and from me. Every day, we start our morning with thank you, modani, thanks, that we are here in a world to live in, with family and friends to love and be loved by. And I must add, in a sovereign Jewish state, with a strong, sovereign Jewish army, with kibbutz galuyot, thank God, about to open a day full of possibilities, where by actions of chesed, of grace and love, we enable the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to flow through us into the lives of others. Joy helps cure some of the wounds of our hurt and problematic world. Zeu, Bezrat Hashem, we should all, have Hagana, protection, and have the flexibility and the strength. Sometimes flexibility goes much further than just strength. To go through all of this with all of its deep meanings and family meanings, and to come out the other side victorious.